Asteroid City. Wes Anderson. Me. What's not to love? Well, the movie is pretty polarizing, actually. The Wes Anderson fans mostly adore it, and the Wes Anderson haters really despise it. And I can understand why the movie is so contentious. It certainly breaks traditional narrative structure, there aren't many big emotional beats, and the subject matter is very esoteric. Asteroid City appeals to a very specific group of people, and I consider myself one of them. And you know what? I really wish more people would appreciate the movie. While I admit that it's not as easy to relate to as, say, Moonrise Kingdom or the Royal Tenenbaums, it has a lot more substance than people are giving it credit for. It just requires a thought process that most people are not willing to have. It does feel like this movie is advancing Wes Anderson's career, while simultaneously being a reflection on all of his past work. His characters are just as wry, the sets are just as meticulous and planimetric, and the tone is more or less similar to his other movies. Like The French Dispatch, however, it reflects on the medium that Wes is working in. This is not a new concept for him, but I think that Asteroid City takes it further than any other movie that he's made. Very meta. Asteroid City is very self-referential and weird. That makes some people uncomfortable and displeased, which is totally valid, but it really works for me, and I wanted to show you why. Asteroid City is definitely a very pretty film. For me, the sea green open sky and the beige flat ground of Asteroid City evoke the aesthetic of 50s travels posters. Of course, that makes sense since the movie is set in the 1950s West. But the 50s setting isn't just used for a certain artistic look. It really enhances the story to a point where it wouldn't work without the time period. The 50s was a decade characterized by, among other things, rebuilding from World War II and the development of the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union. While my explanation is certainly an oversimplification of history, it is important to bring up. Augie, the main character of Asteroid City, who's haunted by his days as a World War II photographer, is still exposed to the ever-present development and testing of nuclear bombs for the Cold War. The uncertainty of this era feeds into Augie's anxiety throughout the movie. The movie is bookended by two identical shots, panning around the town. At the beginning, the town is near completely bare. The only thing heard is the wind. By the end, the town is similarly bare, but it feels different since the main character, Augie, has changed. In the movie, the desert landscape is used to reinforce the intense loneliness that Augie feels after losing his wife. The desert also leaves him entirely exposed to the fears and possibilities that come from outer space. While during the day the beautiful palette of colors comforts the audience and the characters, it's still uneasy. The colors lead them through the evening to the night, where everyone's perspectives are completely changed. Picture this. I'm sitting in the movie theater, ready to see Asteroid City on the opening weekend. This is my local family-run theater, so it's not completely packed. There are about 20 people in the room. I can hear the distant squeals of little children in the lobby, probably a birthday party, seeing the Mario movie or something like that. But I focus on the screen in front of me. Once the Oppenheimer trailer finishes playing, and once I'm disappointed that they didn't play the Barbie trailer, Asteroid City begins. It opens on something I didn't expect. It's a black and white television broadcast in a boxy aspect ratio. Bryan Cranston walks on screen and explains the framing device of the movie. Asteroid City is a play that the station is televising. I think to myself, okay, this could be kinda cool, but I still have to see where the movie goes. While most of the movie takes place in the actual desert, Asteroid City occasionally reminds you that what you're watching is technically a play within a movie. Very meta. There are several scenes that show the behind the scenes of the play. It shows the actors' relationships with one another and the playwright trying to figure out the story. For me, this meta framing device really works. That's especially true towards the end, when Jason Schwartzman's character tries to decipher his character in the play by exiting the desert set and heading backstage to talk to the director. It's a confusing concept, but it's really cool, because when the actors try to figure out the story, they communicate the ideas of the whole movie to us, the audience. In other words, by adding a layer to the movie, Anderson calls the audience's attention to what he's trying to express. Still confused? Me too, in some ways. You really have to see the movie to grasp it, but it's really smart. This framing device also requires that the performances from Jason Schwartzman, Scarlett Johansson, Tom Hanks, and the entire cast all have a great amount of depth and nuance, since they're basically all playing two characters, one as the actor and the other as the actor playing a character in Asteroid City. All the performances are super interesting. But why exactly did Wes Anderson use this framing device? What's he trying to say with it? What are the actual ideas of Asteroid City? Asteroid City is a pretty enigmatic film when it comes to the whole point. However, I definitely didn't leave the theater thinking to myself, wow, that movie had absolutely no point. I felt somewhat fulfilled, but I just knew that I hadn't cracked the metaphysical surface yet. Asteroid City really asks a lot of the audience, but if you dedicate some time to thinking about it, it can be really rewarding. That's what I've been doing ever since I saw the movie. It was so interesting to me how all the people in the town had different perspectives on the same thing. The story is built like a mosaic, painting different vignettes of different characters. Some scenes and characters might seem pointless, but I think even the small parts of the movie contribute to the larger narrative. The main story of the movie is that of Augie, whose wife has just died, and his children. They come into the barren Asteroid City for his son, Woodrow, to take part in the Junior Stargazers Convention, because Woodrow is a nerd. There are a host of other characters like the actress Midge Campbell, or the grandpa played by Tom Hanks, or the school teacher played by Maya Hawke. All of these stories intertwine with one another and touch on the same things, but the strongest ones are Augie's and his sons. Asteroid City is about the attempt to understand outer space, the ununderstandable. It's about cosmic possibilities and the fears associated with them. When you look through a telescope at the stars, it just makes you think big existential thoughts. That's the feeling that I think Anderson is trying to evoke. Take Augie's son, Woodrow. He's nicknamed Brainiac. He's a bit of an outsider. In Asteroid City, he befriends the other junior stargazers who are similarly non-conforming geniuses. One of them confesses to him and says that, "Sometimes I think I feel more at home outside the Earth's atmosphere." He replies simply, "Oh wow, me too." Woodrow's comprehension of the world is unlike most other people's, and his journey is finding out what that means for him. Woodrow seems to understand outer space and the aliens that visited easily, with science and logic. However, he struggles with understanding his own mom's passing, just as his dad does. Augie is emotionally stunted from his wife's death. He tells his children what happened to their mother 3 weeks after her death. He doesn't know how to handle his grief. He keeps any real emotion at an arm's length, and for the whole movie, he's searching for the answer to a question he doesn't fully understand. Even the actor playing Augie deals with the same struggle. He never truly understands what the play is about. He keeps searching for some grand revelation about his character, but he can't find anything satisfying. In the moment I mentioned before, when the actor playing Augie asks the director what the play is about at the climax of the film, this idea of impossible understanding comes to fruition. The director says to the distressed actor, "Just keep telling the story." This is what I took away from Asteroid City. You don't have to worry about having a full and complete understanding of everything. You don't have to answer those impossible questions. Just keep living, just keep telling the story, and eventually everything will be fine. Just keep sleeping, and eventually you'll wake up. You'll never be in full control of anything, so why should you worry so much? It's not an optimistic conclusion that Asteroid City comes to. It's Wes Anderson feeling. An existential movie masked by dry comedy that ends with a message dripping with melancholia. But I don't think that the ending is cynical at all. It's more observational than anything else. I love that the movie finishes like this. In its own way, it's sort of beautiful. So far this year, Asteroid City is one of the 2 movies that I've thought about the most. It's been Asteroid City and Past Lives, the debut feature from Celine Song. I've wanted to write about both, but I decided to make a video about this one since it's more popular. If you're still here, first of all, thank you. I'm not expecting many people to watch this. But secondly, I'm gonna urge you to please watch both of the movies. I think they're both still in theaters, although it depends on how quickly I can edit this. But yeah, I think both of these movies are beautiful. You know what else would be beautiful? That's right, subscribing and liking.